Everyone, today we discuss about the hypothalamic hypophyseal axis. As the name discussed about the hypothalamic hypophyseal axis. Hypothalamic means it controlled by hypothalamus, and a hypophyseal means here the pituitary gland also be involved, and then it's control the endocrine gland. Okay, here the normally if human body requires to functions properly, then the coordination is also required of defined organ, defined system. As the same way, for the functions of any endocrine gland or any hormones, then the connections between hypothalamus, pituitary gland and the endocrine gland coordination is also required. Here we discuss about how hypothalamus control the total endocrine system, and the axis hypothalamic hypophyseal axis control the total endocrine system secretions. Okay, so here you can see hypothalamic axis, mainly hypothalamus control the pituitary gland secretions, then the pituitary gland control the other endocrine gland secretions. Okay, so if you see there, hypothalamus secretes some stimulating hormone, then pituitary gland getting excited by the stimulating hormone, then pituitary gland secretes some releasing hormone, then the releasing hormone induces defined endocrine gland to secrete defined types of hormones. Okay, here you can see three types of hypothalamic pituitary axis. We can see here hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, hypothalamic pituitary thyroid axis, hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis. Hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, it controls the secretions of adrenal gland. Hypothalamic pituitary thyroid axis is it controls the secretions of thyroid gland, and hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis it controls the secretions. Actually, secretions means secretions of hormones from the male and female gonad. Okay, here you can see we discuss about the hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis. Hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis means we already know that hypothalamus is the master of master gland, because of it controls the master gland, and the master gland is pituitary gland. When the signal comes from the hypothalamus to the pituitary gland, then pituitary gland getting excited or activated. When this pituitary gland getting activated or excited, then it secretes some signals, some stimulating hormone that ultimately it acts on the target organ. Here you can see hypothalamus secrete gonadotropin releasing hormone. Then this gonadotropin releasing hormone acts on the pituitary gland. Then the pituitary gland secrete luteinizing hormone and follicular stimulating hormone. The luteinizing hormone acts on the testes, and follicular stimulating hormone acts on the ovary. And the activated or excited testes and ovary, then they secrete the testosterone, and testes secrete the testosterone and ovary secrete the estrogen and progesterone. This axial control is happens when the blood requirement of the gonadal hormones or of the adrenal hormones for their normal range. Okay, when blood requires to its normal range of these hormones, then they send signal to the hypothalamus, to the pituitary gland. That is also known as the negative feedback. Okay, via this positive feedback and negative feedback control, this hypothalamic pituitary axis controls the secretions of different type of hormones from different endocrine gland. Here you can see hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. Here signal from the hypothalamus via the corticotropin releasing hormone. Okay, then this corticotropin releasing hormone acts on the pituitary gland, and it activates the corticotroph cells that present on the anterior pituitary. Then the corticotroph cells secrete the adrenocorticotropic hormone. Then this adrenocorticotropic hormone acts on the adrenal gland that present above the kidney. Okay, then the adrenal gland secrete cortisols, and it controls the required amount of the hormones. When the hormone level getting activated, hormone level reach to its required amount, then it sends signals to the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland not to secrete enough hormones. Okay, here you can also see hypothalamic-pituitary thyroid axis. Here hypothalamus secrete the thyrotropin releasing hormone. This thyrotropin releasing hormone acts on the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland contain the thyrotroph cells that getting activated by the thyrotropin releasing hormone. Then the thyrotroph cells secrete the thyroid stimulating hormone that acts on the thyroid gland, and the thyroid gland then secrete T3 and T4. When blood level of T3 and T4 reach its normal range, then blood sends signal to the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland then not to secrete more amount of releasing hormone or stimulating hormone. As a result, the level of thyroid hormone in the blood getting maintained. Okay, now how this mechanism happens and what is the importance of this axis? You can see the axis acts as a link between the nervous system and the endocrine system. As we discussed, hypothalamus sends signal to the pituitary gland, then pituitary gland sends signal to the endocrine gland. So this is a link between the nervous system and the endocrine system. Hypothalamic peptides active the high concentrations within the pituitary portal system, allow for fast, precise control. This system use complex feedback loops, that is also discussed, positive and negative feedback loop, to maintain the stable hormone levels that is very essential for survival and functions like appetite, temperature regulations and the energy metabolism. Disruptions of this axis, if anyhow any conditions this axis getting disrupted, then it can lead to severe metabolic stress related and the reproductive disease. Thank you.